I would like to suggest that the first Slichah that we all say on Asarah B'teves, Askara Matzoik, the first Slichah begins Askara Matzoik Asher Karaani, is discussing Saint Peter, the first Pope of Christianity. The Shulchan Aruch tells us, at the end of Megilas Taanis, Siman Tov Kuf Pei, the Shulchan Aruch has a whole list of Tanaisim that most people don't observe. It's from another Megilas Taanis, not the Megilas Taanis that's mentioned in the Gemara. It's a Megilas Taanis that the Baal Halachas Gedolos introduced, and the Beis Yosef himself says, Beis Yosef says, "Lo matzat lo reisi mi olam v'lo shamaiti mi shenoig lesanis bahem." He says he doesn't know anybody that observes these Tanaisim. And it's also hard to understand how anybody could have instituted these Tanaisim. Some of them fall out on Rosh Chodesh. But nonetheless, the Shulchan Aruch brings it down in Siman Tov Kuf Pei, and he says, there's a whole list, it's about 20 Tanaisim, and the two that are interesting to us are Asarah B'teves, on the 9th day of Teves. Nichtava Torah Yevonis, that's when Septuagint was translated, when the Torah was written over to Greek. So that was on the 8th of Teves. Ubetisha boy, on the 9th day of Teves. It's not known. We don't know. That's what the Shulchan Aruch says. And that's pretty much word for word of the Baal Halachas Gedolos when he brings down this Megilas Taanis, this list of Tanaisim. It's Lo Noida Ezi HaTorah She'ir Bo. So obviously, when it says Lo Noida, Chazal for some reason we're not telling us. So there's many different reasons that are suggested for this Taanis on Asarah B'teves. I want to just discuss two of them. The Mogen Avram and the Taz say it's simple. The Mogen Avram says in Siman Tov Kuf Pei Sivkat and Vav, he says Lo Noida Ubeslicha Shalanu, when he's talking about the Slichah of Askara Matzoik, the first Slichah that everybody reads. Ubeslicha Shalanu Isa Shemeis Ezra Sefer, that Ezra Sefer died in this on Asarah B'teves. The Taz also brings down the Slichah, but the Taz asks for a kasha. The Taz over there, Sivkat and Aleph, Tema Gedola, Ha'isa B'Slichah Shal Yud B'teves. It says in the Slichas of Asarah B'teves, the B'taz boy Meis Ezra Sefer V'Tzorchi and Rav. It's very very hard to understand. How could it be that the Shulchan Aruch is saying that nobody knows? Everybody knows. It's in the Slichas. The Slichas says that Meis Ezra Sefer. Now this Slichah of Askara Matzoik is a very accepted Slichah. Everybody says it. Nowadays it's been found, Professor Shlamit Alitzo found it in the Cairo Geniza, and we know who the author is. We know that it was written by Rabbi Yosef ben Yitzchak Even Avita. He was a Talmud of one of the Arba Shvuim. He was a Talmud of Moshe Bar Chanoich. It was written. This Slichah was written in the 10th century, and although he originally wrote it in Sfarad, and many of the Piyutim went from Spain, went to Europe, but he himself later on moved to Yerushalayim. He moved to Mitzrayim. He moved to Egypt, and presumably he brought it along with him, and that's how it was found in the Cairo Geniza. They found a copy of this Slichah. This Slichah of Askara Matzoik. It starts off Askara Matzoik Asher Karaani. Let's talk about the terrible things that happened to me. בשלוש makos בחודש זה הכאני. Three things happened to us, Klal Yisrael, in this month, in the month of Teves. And then it has a few passages on the first on the Asarah B'teves, the Yevonis, the fact that the Torah was translated over to Greek, Then it has the second. Then it talks about Misas Ezra Seifa. And then, of course, it talks about Asarah B'teves, which is about the Churban. That's when they laid siege on Yerushalayim. And so the Taz says, how could it be that the Shulchan Aruch is saying that we don't know what it is? Everybody knows this Slichah. This Slichah was accepted in all communities. Everybody says Askar מצוק. We know that it's because of Misa says Asif. However, that can't be the only reason. First of all, because what the Taz says, the Taz Kasha itself, the Shulchan Aruch and the Baal Halachas Gedolos all brought down that loy noidam eze yatzar shir boy, that there was some sort of a secret reason. If there's a secret reason, as I say, there's no reason for it to be a secret, and it was known. Also, as Hagoyser Baruch Frankel Tumim points out in the back of Shulchan Aruch, and the Chidok point out that in the original Baal Halachas Gedolos that brings down this Taanis in the first place, it says both. It says Betisha boy lekasur abiseinu amahu. There's some sort of a secret reason lekasur abiseinu amahu. U boy bayoy me says asayfa v'nechemi ben chelkia. So it says both. It has both the secret reason and Misa says asayfa. So that can't be the reason. So what is the reason? So by now it's been commonly accepted that the pshat that Baruch Frankel Tumim himself suggests is Taka the pshat. In the back of Shulchan Aruch he says Matzasi b'ksav yad. I found in some sort of a manuscript shebetes teves nifter Shimon HaKalpos. Shimon HaKalpos died. Shoishias Yisrael b'tzara gedola. He helped out Klal Yisrael when they had terrible problems. Bizman haparitzim. Nikva yom yisasa l'tainis olam b'Yerushalayim. So what's he talking about? There's a group of svarim that were known as Toldos Yeshu, which were written by the Fromm Yidden. It was written by our tradition about the early Christians and their development and how they started. Obviously, it wasn't easy to print, and in many generations it was never printed. Some of them were only printed by non-Jews, and this Toldos Yeshu has a whole different version of a lot of the events in the beginning of the development of Christianity. It's known that Rashi had had a version of Toldos Yeshu. Rashi in Meseres Hashatz, the censor took it out, but in Cheseres Hashas on Avodah Zarah, I believe Daf Yud Amud Beis. So over there Rashi calls it Talias Yeshu, but it's the same tradition. What happened? The Christians were very successful, and they were gaining a tremendous amount of a following. And Klal Yisrael had two problems. First of all, they were antagonistic to the Yidden. But the biggest problem was that they were outwardly, they acted like regular religious Jews. And they looked like Yidden. It was hard to differentiate who's a Jew and who's not a Jew. And this made many problems. First of all, people would easily go join them because they didn't realize that they were a whole different religion. And moreover, people do shidduchim with them. It was very hard to manage this with having this separate religion that looked exactly like it. So Toldos Yeshu recounts that the Rabbanim, the Zakanim, got together to discuss this. These are Tanoim. This is in the times of the end of the Bayis Sheni. And one of the Tanoim gets up. His name was Shimon HaKalpos. He gets up and he says, I have a suggestion. My suggestion is that one of us one of us Tanoim, have to go and join them. Although it's going to give them a tremendous amount of chizuk, it's going to give them, it's going to pump. They're going to be very, very. It's encouraged from having a Tana join them. But we have to do it. One of us should go join them. And as a Tana, if a Tana joins them, he'll be able to rise up the ranks. He'll be able to have a say in what they do. And eventually he'll be able to move them away from regular rabbinic Judaism, and he'll be able to change them, make them into a more secular Gentile religion. And this way we won't have the problem that people won't be able to differentiate in between the Christians and the Jews. So at this meeting, all the Tanoim said, "Great idea. We think Shimon HaKalpis. We think you should do it." So he said, if everybody here accepts and takes it on their responsibility that I'm going to still have a share in the world to come, I'm ready. And they all accepted, and he joined them. And obviously, as soon as he joined them, they were obviously very excited to have him part of their group. And he rose the ranks quickly. He joined them in Yerushalayim, and he became their bishop right away. And soon, then he went to Rome, and he became the Pope in Rome. He told them he's going to join them. But he needs them to build him a nice, quiet, thin tower where he's going to stay there. He wants to be there. He wants to be misboided. He wants to just be busy with the books, and they should just give him bread and water under the door, and he's going to join them and speak to them once a year. They were happy to give him whatever he wanted, and he joined them. And he was successful in nudging them away from Torah and Yiddishkeit, and they eventually became secular. They became the Christianity that we know, much closer to what we know, and it was successful. And he was sitting and learning in that tower for 6 years. He wrote piyutim. It could be that he wrote nishmas. Some people say that he wrote nishmas, but he was really secretly one of ours. He was really always from. And the tower had some sort of a stone, which is in Greek is a keeper is a Petros, and he is known as Simon Peter or Saint Peter. Some of the Toldos Yeshu say that he died. Vayoma Shimon ve'isaplu b'nei Yisrael as Shimon. Shimon died, and Klal Yisrael secretly mourned his death. V'kavu yom yisasei lehisanis b'chol shana v'shana v'hu tes yamim b'yerach Teves. That's the 9th day of Teves. So that is obviously what Baruch Tumen Frankel wants to suggest is the Taanis is the loinoida eziyat tzarashir. Right? It's a very geshmak pshat. It's very clear why Klal Yisrael did not want anyone to know it was a secret that he was one of ours, that we had any affinity to this person that turned over to the Christians. But there was this Taanis that we were observing on the day he died. But it occurred to me that the Taz's kasha is still shver. The Taz says, how could it be like noida eziyat tzarashir boy? How could it be that we don't know the Asarah B'teves, the Slichah that we say on Asarah B'teves says clearly that it's because of Megilas Taanis. So now the Baruch Tumen Frankel tells us that the reason why the noida tzarashir boy is now it's Megilas Taanis. So okay, so it's not difficult why the Shulchan Aruch didn't say Megilas Taanis. But now it's shver on Asarah B'teves. This Slichah that everybody says that's accepted for 1,000 years in Klal Yisrael, How could it be saying that the problem is because of Misas Ezra when it's not true? The real reason is because of Shimon Peter. It's really because of Shimon HaKalpis. It's really this Loi Noida Ezi Atzara Shir. So if you look at the Slichah, first it talks about the three Shalosh Makos B'chodsh Hakani, and at the end it says, towards on the 11th line it says, Patzti al Arbaton. I'm broken al Arbaton on these four things. Lu Chetz B'libi Yarisi. What's these four things? So the Mefarshim want to say that these four things are that in the middle it mentions that the Chodesh Teves, and Chodesh Teves was the month that after the Churban, the news of the Churban came to Bavel. It came in Chodesh Teves, and they were very sad. To the extent that one of the Tanaim, it's a Machlekes the Gemara Rosh Hashanah, and one of the Tanaim say that we don't fast on Asarah B'teves, we fast on Chamisha B'teves, on the 5th day of Teves, which is the day when diaspora Jewry heard about the Churban. So, and it is mentioned in the Slichah when it's talking about when it's talking about the Churban, it says minyan seid chadashim boyheir. So Patzdi al Arbaton is those four. In other words, the three that are mentioned in the beginning, which is Yuvanis, the fact that it was on the 8th day of Teves, the Torah was translated over to Greek. And on the 9th day, the fact that that Ezra died. The 10th day is Asarah B'teves, and then at the end, all the way at the end, Patzdi al Arbaton is referring to the Chamisha B'teves, which something also happened in this month. That's how the Mefarshim want to say. But now that we know that there's a fourth reason, that really on Test Teves what happened was that Shimon HaKalpis died, and that's the fourth thing. So now we could say that that's what Patzdi al Arbaton. Those are the four incidents that happened in this month. Al Arbaton, these four incidents, which is Yuvanis and Misas Ezra, but also Misas Shimon HaKalpis, and the Churban on the 10th of Teves. But it gets much better, because the truth is that our girsa of this Slichah is not the original girsa. It's already been pointed out by the Arugas HaBoisim. Arugas HaBoisim is a sefer that it's a sefer on a lot of the piyutim, and he said, and he already points out that the real girsa Eskra מצוק Asher Karaani is ba'arba makos b'chodsh hakani. 4 makos. And if it's arba makos already, you can't say that it's talking about a shemua. It's talking about some kind of the news, because that's not arba makos. Eskra מצוק Asher Karaani ba'arba makos b'chodsh hakani. And now we can understand, now that there's a secretive reason here, now we can understand how it got turned to Shalosh Makos. Because it used to say Ba'arba Makos B'chodsh hakani, and people looked and they saw that they didn't see any clear 4 things. So they figured that it's a mistake and they wrote B'sholosh Makos. But the truth is that it's Ba'arba Makos B'chodsh hakani, because there's a secret reason besides the 3 that are clearly stated here. There's a secret reason. There's the 4th reason of Misas Shimon HaKalpis. In the version of the Cairo Genizah's version, there's another couple of changes that are very clear, that could be talking clearly about Misas Shimon HaKalpis, and about this whole tragedy of that Shimon HaKalpis had to go over and join the enemy, join the early Christians. Because in our version, In our version, it says, Patzdi al arbaton, I'm broken on these 4 things. And then after that it says, Tzoros alela keveli karisi, talking about a grave, that I dug myself a grave, and that comes after these things. After the Patzdi al arbaton luchefetz. And also it says, Al Eila Panai Avakarisi, which seems to be saying, Al Eila on all these things, and they're talking about the tzaras that I'm throwing dirt on my face. However, in the version of the Cairo Geniza, it says like this, Al Panai Avakarisi, before it says Patzdi al Arbaton, before it's talking about all 4, before it has a recap on all the tzaras, it says, Al Panai Avakarisi, on my face I threw dirt. That sounds very, very much like we're talking about somebody going over to the other side. Alpane avik zarisi, v'al eila, kever tsar li karisi. I dug myself a very thin grave. What's it referring to? Shimon HaKalpos, when he told them to build him this tall, thin tower, and that's where he stayed. And he was asked that he should be buried in that thin tower. So, kever tsar li karisi, I dug myself my own thin grave. He wanted to be buried in this tower. So now there's a clear reference to Shimon HaKalpos in this Slichah, and then afterwards it recaps Patzdi al arbaton on all 4 of these tzaras, the 3 that are very clearly enumerated, and the 4th one which is just alluded to, al panay avik zarisi ve'al eila kevet tzar li karisi, and then it says Patzdi al arbaton loichetz belibi yarisi.